You ever get that feeling just drowning in information, trying to figure something out, but it all feels like noise?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, today we're going to try and cut right through some of that.
We're doing a deep dive into something usually kept way out of sight. Classified information.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, a document called Immaculate Constellation and what happened to someone who accidentally stumbled upon it.
And this is all based directly on detailed accounts from that person, someone who saw it firsthand.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack what they saw, the frankly bizarre roadblocks they hit trying to report it,
Yeah.
the kind of disturbing conclusions they drew about how information gets controlled and, the personal risks involved in speaking out, all based only on these sources.
Right. Let's get into it. So it started kind of weirdly, right? By accident.
Totally by accident. This
Yeah.
person was just doing some digital housekeeping, basically, organizing misfiled stuff on a shared government server, OSD level.
Office of the Secretary of Defense.
Right.
Okay. And they found this file.
Yeah, found a file with a really generic name, like something you'd see for a war game exercise. Nothing screamed UAP.
So not obviously classified UAP stuff at first glance.
Not at all. But then they opened it. Past the title slide, Immaculate Constellation, there was another slide. And that one, well, it had Lou Elizondo's picture on it.
Oh, okay. That's specific.
Right. And text saying Immaculate Constellation was an unacknowledged special access program, a SAP.
Unacknowledged. And linked to Elizondo.
Yeah, and explicitly framed as something set up after the whole ATIP story broke in 2017.
Whoa. So the implication was immediate. This was some kind of internal classified reaction to UAPs becoming public knowledge.
Precisely, and
Yeah.
calling it unacknowledged. Well, that's significant. Those SAPs are notoriously hard to get oversight on. Finding it misfiled like that was the key.
So what was actually in this report? What did it show?
It was about 12 to 15 pages long, mostly freeze frames taken from video.
Okay. Of what?
All sorts of UAPs. You had your orbs near coastal facilities,
Yeah.
a big black triangle near a Russian ship in the Pacific.
Big, like, comparable to the ship.
Yeah. Source said comparable. Then another smaller angular black triangle near a different Russian ship, this one in the Atlantic, seen in infrared, kind of hovering or matching speed.
Okay, so triangles, orbs, anything else?
Uh-huh. Other shapes, too, like cuboid orbs, really fast movers, huge disks hiding up in clouds, described as almost playful or startled when seen via satellite.
Playful. That's an odd description for official reporting.
It is. And there was a boomerang shape, and this, well, they called it a jellyfish internally, apparently, like a floating brain or just an organic shape seen near a U.S. border crossing.
Wow, a real variety. And
Like-
collected from all over.
All over the world, yeah. Some by assets specifically looking, others just incidentally captured while monitoring other things like other countries' activities.
So finding this an unacknowledged SAP about global UAPs set up after ATIP, just sitting on a shared server, that must have felt urgent.
Definitely raised alarms. Initially, there was some uncertainty, like, could this be a hoax? But spillage training kick in. You find classified stuff where it shouldn't be, you report it.
Makes sense. So first stop, the immediate supervisor.
Show them the slides,
Mm.
and supervisor's response, just delete it.
Delete it. No formal process. No, let me look into this.
Nope, just delete it. And apparently, the file vanished from the server shortly after that conversation.
Okay, that's not standard procedure
Yeah.
at all.
Not even close. So, facing that and knowing system logs track everything, the source felt they had to escalate. Went higher up.
Which led to?
A meeting in a SEIF, a secure facility, with the SAP control officer,
Yeah, this sounds more like the proper channel. How did that go?
according to the source. Really badly, disturbingly so.
Oh.
The officer looked at the material and started laughing, deliberately laughing it off. Said something like, somebody's having a joke, you don't need to worry about this, you can go.
Dismissed again. No report filed. Nothing.
Nothing. Just a flat, dismissive rejection, which, combined with other things the source was seeing, it started painting a really unsettling picture.
Like what other things?
Well, just sort of strange bureaucratic foot-dragging around UAP issues in general, a feeling that open discussion, even within places like the UAP task force, was maybe declining.
Mm-hmm.
And then came a really critical moment. Reading the transcripts from Sean Kirkpatrick's briefing to Senators Rubio, Warren, and Gillibrand.
Ah, the reported briefing where he seemed to downplay or, well, distort things.
That's how the source perceived it, yes. Reading Kirkpatrick's testimony and then reading Senator Rubio's reaction in that same transcript. That was the clincher.
What was Rubio's reaction?
The source recalled it almost word for word. Well, what the hell is the executive branch doing? Have they been running this for 60 years without congressional oversight?
Oh.
Yeah. For the source, hearing a senator react like that just solidified it. The phenomenon seemed real, the cover-up seemed real, and it was clearly happening inside the House.
Which brings up the how, right? How could information like this be controlled, even internally?
Exactly. The source developed a suspicion based on Immaculate Constellation being a collection mission. They wondered if AI programs, maybe like Sentient, which is publicly known, were being used to automatically scrub UAP data out of intelligence reports.
So raw data goes in, AI filters out the UAP bits, and the report that analysts see is incomplete.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the concern. Data goes into this sort of black box, gets filtered, and what comes out might actually be blinding frontline personnel to real potential threats, a huge national security risk, if true.
So internal channels blocked, realizing the potential scale of this.
Yeah.
What did the source do next?
It kicked off this multi-year internal effort to actually document everything properly, but there weren't clear channels, It was risky.
Right.
So when Congress put out the call for whistleblowers, offering amnesty specifically for UAP-related info, the source decided that was the route.
Must have been a huge decision, involved writing a detailed report.
Incredibly detailed, yeah. Laborious process, lots of security precautions. And then, strategically, they submitted it for pre-publication review at the State Department.
Why state? For transparency, protection.
Both, seems like.
Yeah.
A way to officially log it outside the direct chain where they've hit roadblocks. And the response they got back was just, you may proceed.
You may proceed. Okay. And then it went to Congress.
Yep. Submitted to Congress and eventually put onto the congressional record.
Yeah.
Which apparently caused quite a stir, caught some staff off guard. A lot of scrambling, reportedly. It was a massive personal risk.
Absolutely. So after all this, looking at the bigger picture, what's the source's takeaway on the nature of this phenomenon? Based on their access, of course.
Well, again, based purely on their experience and analysis of what they encountered, the perspective points towards maybe multiple non-human groups or species.
Multiple factions.
Potentially. And maybe viewing humanity as like a resource, possibly being here for a very, very long time. And maybe, just maybe, allowing themselves to be seen sometimes now.
But the official documents, like Immaculate Constellation, they didn't offer any info on why they're here or their biology, anything like that.
No, nothing direct on intent or biology and what they saw, which just reinforces that feeling the source described this sense of living in a kind of carefully constructed reality.
Where fundamental scientific or existential truths might be actively suppressed.
That's the implication they drew from the whole ordeal.
It's quite a journey. Accidental discovery, hitting walls, trying to report it, this dawning realization of deception, and then the incredibly risky choice to bring it forward.
Yeah, and this account, coming directly from someone inside, it really forces you to ask some deep questions about information control. What is being kept back, even from people with clearances?
So building on that source's experience, if our reality is potentially more constructed, more controlled than we typically assume, what fundamental truths about our world might be deliberately hidden from you?